The lighting is terrible because in my part of the world it's the rainy season right now and we're just not going to get any good sunlight for a while. I started this channel in January of 2020. What year is it? January of 2022. It's been a year of creating and publishing videos on a regular basis, so it's time to do a retrospective. This video is not so much about the knitting, it's more about the YouTubing of it all, so if this is not your thing, feel free to click away. This is almost everything that I have knit this year, well, everything I've knit on camera. Some of the stuff wound up as gifts, so I don't have it anymore, but this is the grand scheme of things. I started this channel for a lot of reasons. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time and just had never gotten enough momentum to actually start. But like there are a lot of personal development things in here. Like I want to get better at public speaking and telling stories and explaining the way that I see the world because I know that it's a little bit different than most people. Having the YouTube channel helps me add some structure to this hobby, knowing that I'm intending to package up and deliver a certain thing on a regular basis helps me actually plan and follow through with these projects instead of letting them linger and be UFOs for years at a time. When I started, I didn't tell anybody that I was doing this for a long time. I needed the time and the space to be bad at it for a while because I don't have any experience video editing or any of the audio stuff or a lot of the things that go into making a YouTube video. So I wanted to like be bad at it by myself before I invited friends and family in to give criticism. I don't have a social media following. I gave that up when I left my last job. So I just kind of let YouTube handle distributing my content based on keywords and search and whatever else the recommendation system does. I kind of love this. I tend to get bored with hobbies. I go as far as I can and then there's not enough of a challenge anymore once I've mastered something, once I've gotten good at something, and I just put it down because it doesn't consume me as much as it used to. I was sewing for a few years until I beat the final boss. I did a pretty standard pattern modification on an origami inspired like two-part sleeve with darts on the shoulder. It was some fun geometry and with some fun paper manipulation, and then I finished it and it fit fine and I'm like, okay, what's next? Like what's the next challenge here after I've done this thing that looked impossible in the beginning and then just turned out to be fairly straightforward. But YouTube is not one hobby, it is 12 hobbies. And I can get as into any one part of it as I want. There's the video editing, there's the audio, there's thumbnails, there's the marketing and market research and keyword stuff. And then on top of that, I'm also learning the knitting as I go because I've only been machine knitting for about a year and a half at this point. Massive steep learning curve, which is really what I'm looking for in a hobby. That's just the way my brain works. Patterns. I think I published, I have to go and look, 7 or 8 patterns. This is something that I started doing when I was first learning because I was working with a bunch of different kinds of yarn. Like essentially, I was buying whatever I could find on sale that would work with my machine. And that meant that the gauges were different. So I'd like make a mock-up in the cheaper yarn and then try to make the final thing in a different yarn, but the yarns were different sizes. And it was a pain to redo the math for the different gauge. So I started drafting my own patterns in Python. And I was thinking about like just releasing the Python on GitHub, but I know that a lot of people don't really know how to check out the code and how to run Python on their own. So I switched over to the web. I picked up some React.js and started publishing things on a little glitch site that is my abstract knit factory pattern generator site now. I know that people complain about size inclusivity in patterns in general in sewing and knitting, and I realized that it would take only a little bit extra work for me to adapt my patterns so that they could work for like an arbitrarily sized person instead of like just me. So I did that and I released them to the world, and it seems like y'all are pretty happy with them so far, so that's good. The other thing that comes with the patterns is the joy that I get from writing shitty code. I've been a professional software engineer for about a decade now, and the code that I write at work is polished and professional and extensible and well designed, and To do that takes a lot of extra effort and a lot of extra thinking to make sure that it's going to work long term and it's going to work well with everybody else who wants to use it and everything that it needs to do in the future. But like, that's not fun. The fun part is just like sitting down and slapping something together and getting it to the point where it works. And that's what I do with these patterns. So if you ever find any bugs, that's because like it is intentionally shitty code. So I initially started out uploading every week. I set every week as a goal just to keep things consistent and make sure that like I was pushing myself to learn something and create something every week. And then I realized that it was too much effort to do larger things. Like it was fine if I was doing a little skill tutorial, but if I wanted to do a larger project, it was going to take me more time. And then I got comfortable with the process. I got comfortable with the process of planning and shooting and editing in a shorter period of time because like these things get easier as you do them more often. And I started going back to publishing once a week. We'll see if I can hold up with that. It probably won't last. I do have a day job still. So we'll see. In the last year, I had 89,000 views, 2,340 subscribers, and I published 39 videos. I was hoping when I started this that a handful of people would find these things useful and be interested in what I'm doing, but this was way beyond what I expected. I had 2 sweater tutorials that did well in search results, and those have been pulling in most of the views, but as I'm going, the videos are getting better and getting more views, which, like, I love to see nice, steady growth, and it's great that y'all find this stuff interesting. If you've never published a YouTube video, you may not be aware of the YouTube, what is it called? The Creator Studio. It's a large analytics dashboard that was clearly built by engineers for engineers, and I love it. I love having that for my videos because I know exactly like who is watching and where they're from and like what parts of the video are doing well and what parts of the video are not doing well, and that gives me insight into building the next thing. And I love digging deep into all of that data and finding the insights that I need. I, as an engineer, am fine with this, but I don't know how the rest of y'all function. I don't know how the rest of y'all who have not been elbow deep in analytics before deal with this like mass quantity of things. What I would really love is to like export the whole thing into BigQuery and then be able to put it into Data Studio and build my own metrics, because like, yes, views per 28 days is useful, and yes, like some of these other things are useful, but I want to create my own metrics on top of the raw data that's already there. But it looks like I don't have that kind of granularity to export that kind of thing. Feature request. Data exports, like lots of raw data, please. But like the YouTube analytics are good enough that I struggle to publish other platforms. I've made a few short form videos that I tried to publish in other places that are like pushing short form content right now, and you get the number of views, you get the number of likes, but you don't get any of the rest of the data that I'm looking for. So like I don't know what demographic I'm picking up, I don't know like where these viewers are coming from, and I cannot use that information to make the videos any better. And like, YouTube has ruined me for other platforms. Speaking of analytics and data, I got monetized. So on YouTube, as a long form content channel, you need to reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours within a 1-year period in order to join the partner program, which gives you access to some additional functionality, but also YouTube starts giving you a portion of the revenue they make off the ads they run on your videos. And I met that threshold in the middle of December. So now I'm making money off of this hobby, making about $2 a day, which doesn't even get me to the point of break even. And these numbers are still pretty early and are going to go down in January from everything that I've read as advertisers spend less money after the holidays. I think it's important to point out now that for me, this is a hobby, not a side hustle. I'm lucky that I have a day job that pays the bills, and I have health insurance, and I can live fairly comfortably in this very expensive part of the world, but this is a hobby. That being said, it's great to have that bit of income, and for the next year at least, all of that income coming from AdSense and anything that comes in through Super Chat is going to go back into the channel. That means it'll go towards equipment and materials and yarn and hosting costs for the pattern website. I don't want to make it big. I'm not looking to be like one of those creators with 1 million followers. I would like to make it medium. I would like to get to the point where the revenue that comes in from this channel is enough to cover the costs of running this channel, essentially having the hobby pay for itself. And I think I'd be thrilled to get to that point. And it'll probably take me a few years to get there if I ever do. Looking forward, I have set quantitative goals, but those aren't the interesting part. The theme for this next year is going to be experimentation, trying new things, because I'm comfortable enough with the process now of making these videos and publishing these videos and doing it all on a schedule and along with a full-time job that it's time to get more creative with the process and with the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm making. So it's gonna get weird. Just accept that and embrace that. I'm hoping to still make things that y'all find interesting and useful, but it's gonna get weird. I've got a couple iconic sweaters in the pipeline. I would really like to do a live stream and like speed run a sweater start to finish. Probably on my bulky with a category 5 yarn, so it's not as big. I don't know how long that's gonna take. It might take like 4 to 6 hours, which is a long time to live stream. And like, I've been doing some research and I know there are some crafters who live stream, but I haven't been able to find enough information about like the logistics of running a live stream and the right way to do it. So it might be some trial and error before I actually get that up and running. The technology itself is not the difficult part for me because it's just like some scenes in OBS and then figuring out the right music ratio because the knitting can get pretty loud. And then dealing with comment back and forth, but it's something that I want to try. I really want to make a dinosaur sweater. Not like a sweater with dinosaurs on it, but a sweater for a dinosaur. There's like a natural history museum in the UK that had a sweater for one of their dinosaur displays. So if you or anyone you know works at a museum and has a dinosaur that needs a sweater, or hell, like even a blue whale, I'll do a blue whale. As long as I can publish the pattern for free on my website, I will make it. Like, I want a big, complex, interesting project. That's it. There's gonna be more software. I'm gonna finally get a YAB fixed so that I can use the garter carriage and make a blanket. I am a software engineer, so when I have these problems that require math on a regular basis, I use code to solve them. That's unavoidable. There will be more software. I haven't really figured out how to tell a story that involves software, so that's something that I want to work on to try to explain to the average person who maybe has never written any code what is going on and why it matters and how that's important. I'd like to figure out short form content. I like when the line goes up. I like when you publish a video and YouTube gives you analytics about how it's doing. And with shorts, the line goes up really fast. And I bet I could figure out how to make that work. So this is the time to make requests if you have any while I'm still in the planning process for 2023. So please leave those in the comments. If anything I talked about here sound interesting, please let me know. That feedback is really helpful. But like I said before, this is a hobby. So like, I'm gonna keep doing this as long as I find it fun, and I'm going to do the things that I find interesting and entertaining, which, I mean, where is it? Y'all have seen the octopus sweater, right? This evolved out of, I was looking at the technique for setting a sleeve into a round yoke sweater, and I realized that it wasn't limited to a regular sweater, and it would be interesting if I just carried it out to the logical conclusion. And that's how we got this. And it makes me happy. So I'm gonna keep doing this as long as it makes me happy. There's gotta be an ending to this. I'm at the end of my notes, so there's nothing else going on there. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for humoring me as I do weird shit on the internet. That's about it. Thanks.